Welcome back. We're wrapping up our current events panel, and we have an interesting one to wrap up the day. A Toronto public school, always seems like a lot of things happening in Toronto schools, but a Toronto public school has a field trip where students were initially taken to what was supposed to be an Indigenous kind of discussion, explanation, historical examination day, and somehow got segued into an anti-Israel protest. And I'm pretty sure the Jewish students on the trip were not too thrilled. Michelle, do you want to start us off on this one?
Sure. It was to acknowledge grassy meadows, and the students were told about this. They were told it was about. The parents were given permission slips, telling the parents what it was going to be about and what they were letting their kid go to. But then what they thought was going to happen didn't happen. And then somehow, and again, I am not privy to those details and even all the reporting that happened, but somehow it got twisted. It then ended up becoming anti-Israel, a little bit of like protest, and then of course, we have Jill Dunlop, the Minister of Education for the Ontario provincial government, where of course she's admonishing this, and I don't blame her. And really, I'm not giving her, get out of jail free card. But really, she had no control over this. How would she expect? I mean, the Education Act dictates what education can be, and it gives to school boards. Then school boards create what their own curriculum is going to be within following the guideline of the Education Act. Then the schools individually do their things within the principles and guidelines of what that school board gives them. And then all of a sudden, this happens. And why? Because, and I don't like to use the word woke, but I guess there's some wokeness to this, where they felt inclined that they're going to introduce children to this. Now, again, I understand that you want to talk about current events, political events, and all these things, but if you're going to do that in school, it must be very, very careful. And it has to be just presented. There should be no opinions, and there shouldn't be any children that participate in any one way or the other, because it's still controversial. And so therefore, children should not participate. So for me, completely bad.
So let me jump in there, and Mike, I'm gonna ask your input in just a moment. So again, this is a political rally. So it's one thing to have a discussion in classroom. This is a rally. How do you accidentally end up in a rally? It's shocking to me, and I do believe the buck should stop with the Minister of Education, because guess what? If there are consequences, I bet you this wouldn't happen again. Shed some light on this for me, please, Mike.
Well, it's incredible to think that this happened because parents, in my opinion, were intentionally misled as to where their children were going. And let's remove the sort of the politics from this. There's an enormous difference to say there's going to be a protest by First Nations communities about water quality. We want to see this and learn about this. We're taking that's fine, that's safe. And instead, taking them basically to a pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli rally where you could theoretically, at least, we've seen problems before, putting those children at risk. And it's unbelievable that the teachers have been able to get away with this. And regardless if you have firm beliefs on one side or the other, doesn't matter. Parents should be able to decide and have clear information before they consent to a field trip. This was clearly a bait and switch situation, and those parents should be livid.
But are they? Are parents? I feel like parents.
Yes.
I think there are a lot of parents who are upset. But is it enough? Ultimately, I mean, the school boards, it's the government that controls the schools. And will there be consequences to this, Mike?
Well, there has to be consequences, and the real thing here is this is the Toronto School Board, and it is now to the point where the teachers are not just teaching math and science and reading and writing and so on. They're teaching the children who they should be. And they're doing it from a more left-wing situation. And I think that's wrong. But listen, Doug Ford's Premier of Ontario. What if those teachers were instructed and demanded and mandated to teach children from a right-wing position? The teachers would go crazy. This is wrong, whether it's right or left-wing. The teachers should not be teaching who the children should be. They should be teaching, subjects to the students the way they always have.
Michelle, we have 10 seconds. Are classrooms now places for indoctrination? Are kids safe anymore in classrooms?
No, they're not safe. It shouldn't be indoctrination. And that song, Let the Dogs Out, we'll let the lawyers out. Because right now, I think there needs to be lawyers. Because you know what? That union is going to protect those teachers because they should be disciplined. And at the end of the day, we need lawyers who are going to push and say this is unacceptable and there needs to be consequences.
And
Okay,
parents say enough is enough.
there you go. Okay, we'll end on that. Thank you both so much for being here. We've run out of time, and we'll have to
Thank
catch you
you.
next time.
Thanks, Tanya.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
See ya.